2019 is coming up way too fast. It's time to leave all your troubles from previous years behind and move on. Turn over a new leaf, as they say. But some things, no matter how hard you try to forget, seem to haunt you forever. These are 5 allegedly real New Year's horror stories. No amount of New Year's resolution can fix these nightmares. If you want your story to appear in an episode of Darkness Prevails, share it with us at darknessprevails.org. Also, favorite and follow my podcast at dppodcast.com. What was in that house? From TJS Terror. Location unknown. This happened at the start of January of 2018. I was in 6th grade, 11 years old. I was your pretty average kid. Passed through school with a few A's and mostly B's, and I had a few friends. One of which was my best friend, Colin. Colin lived about half an hour away from me, so I didn't go to his house too often. When I did go to his house, we would always play in his woods. He had a good 3 acres of just forest and trees and creeks. There was also a good-sized pond that we would go fishing in during the summer months. However, there was an abandoned house by the end of his property. It was a normal house, 2 floors. It had been abandoned in the 1960s, according to Colin. Since the 1970s, teenagers had been partying in it and had trashed it. Colin's eldest sister, Anna, who was 26 at the time of writing, used to party in it herself as well, but she stopped some time before Colin was born, for reasons she would not say. The one time we told her that we were going there, she freaked out on us, cautioning us to stay away from that place at all costs and to never go inside, especially not to the basement. We simply thought she was talking about substances or alcohol or something, but we were wrong, terribly wrong. I had taken the bus over to Colin's house on Friday, and I stayed the night, with plans to explore the abandoned house the next morning. When we woke up, we put our orange vests and paintball masks on, so that we would be easy to find. We took a gator, that kind of pickup truck ATV thing you see at farms, to the end of the trail that eventually became paved part of the way. "Hey Colin," I asked. "Yeah." "Did you ever pave this trail?" "Nah man, not us." "Huh," I said. Then I immediately yelled, "Stop the gator!" Colin slammed on the brakes suddenly and asked what the heck was wrong. I was staring off into one part of the snow-covered forest. There appeared to be the remnants of a foundation of a house just in the middle of the woods. All that remained of the house was part of the stairs. I thought it was both eerie and a bit mesmerizing to see nothing but a set of stairs in the middle of the forest. Trees in place where the house should have been, but not even the foundation itself remained, save for a vague rectangular outline. But the wilderness had reclaimed that spot, again all except for the stairs. I thought they were really cool, but Colin made it very clear that we should just keep going. He may have been tired, but I think he was getting creeped out by it. We kept on going, and I started to notice how the further we went on this trail, the more frequent the trees around us appeared to be decaying. It may have been winter and snowing out, but these trees were very visibly rotting. I pointed this out to Colin, but he again just shrugged it off. We got to the house. The trees cleared to the small yard. We got off the gator and Colin grabbed a rifle from the bed of the gator. We went to the door and Colin shut off the knob. I jumped. "What the heck, dude?" "Ladies first," he said. I guess it was nice of him to try to lighten the mood, but I was starting to regret coming out here. As we entered the abandoned place, I heard a loud crash in the basement. Both of us nearly soiled ourselves. "What was that?" I said. I was so scared and startled, I thought I was going to throw up. We continued inside with bravery I didn't know I had, or perhaps it was stupidity, I don't know. Colin aimed the rifle around. Wary of the basement, we decided to explore upstairs first. We didn't find much, as everything had been trashed over the years from multiple parties. Something I forgot to mention was that these parties suddenly stopped one night in 2002. Again, for a purpose that I was not told, but that I wish I knew. There were so many mysteries in that dang house, and I was so glad to finally be there, even if I was scared out of my mind. But I was also trying to figure out what possibly could have made that noise. We finished upstairs and went to the main floor. Once again, we found nothing. But as we made our way to the back door, we found bits of deer, fresh bits, legs, innards. We found the trail of viscera and followed it to the basement door, and it led down to sheer darkness. We looked at each other. "We should definitely not go down there," I said, but was cut off by Colin. "TJ, be quiet." His eyes were wider than I'd ever seen them. So wide, I thought the skin would tear from his temples. Colin pointed toward the basement, and I saw it. 2 yellow eyes the size of grapefruits. We didn't sit there waiting around to see what it was, and instead screamed. The eyes began to approach us, but I turned ready to run and telling Colin to fire at it, but Colin had already turned to run as well. We dashed to the door, which we had closed as we stepped inside, but now it was jammed, the old broken thing. I fiddled with it desperately, as the thing that was pursuing us took what Colin would later call an impossibly long step towards us. I didn't see what was happening behind us, but Colin said that the thing was leaning over us, ready to grab at us. I swear to God, I felt breathing, and my heart sank. "TJ, move!" A mere second after I took my hands off the doorknob, Colin blew another hole through it, which, now that I think of it, was probably why it got jammed in the first place. This time, it released its hold, and the door blew open. We ran to the gator, and Colin floored it. We almost crashed when we heard a loud shrieking coming from behind us back at the house, but we didn't stop, and we didn't turn around. We kept going until we made it back to Colin's place. There, we called the police, and since I knew they wouldn't come if we said there was some monster in that house, we said that there was some dangerous homeless person there. Colin's parents weren't home at the time, and his siblings were off doing things, so it was just me and him. The cops came after what seemed like an entire hour, obviously not putting much urgency into our case. We told them that it, or he, was in the basement of that abandoned house. They came back again after 45 minutes. They were radioing for a coroner and a forensics unit. At least that's what I think I heard, from watching and hearing from inside the house. We would only later learn what they found in that basement. By the time they got there, as these stories usually go, the creature was long gone. But they did find the viscera, except there was more than just deer parts down there. Through DNA testing, they found that some of the bones and remains were from people, a few different people. The saddest part was when they told us about the remains of some small bones that they thought were animal bones, but turned out to be a missing child who had perished when he was less than a year old. But the story isn't over yet. What made me want to write this story was something that happened to me a few weeks back. Colin texted me at about 7 p.m. sounding panicked. I asked what was wrong, and he sent me the following, copied and pasted from the actual text. "Anna told me what happened in that house. In 1998, she was at a party at the house and everyone was drunk except her. She said he went down to the basement, probably passed out, but he never came back out. His parents filed a missing person report, and no one knows where he was until New Year's Eve of '99. When Anna arrives at the New Year's party to find cops examining the boy's body, she got a quick glimpse of it, and she had never seen anything like it. Nothing so screwed up in all her life. Anna stopped going to the parties from then on. She got so mad at me, bro, for going back to that house. This creeped me out beyond belief, and when I think about it, it causes me to lose sleep. I mean, wouldn't you feel the same? Especially when you realize that you could have ended up as one of those bodies in the basement, and God knows how long it would have taken for the cops to discover your remains.
Wow.
Creepy New Year's experience from Gamer27. Location unknown. When I was 23, I had just graduated college, and I was single at the time. So mostly I just spent my time at home watching TV or relaxing. On this particular New Year's Eve, I decided to go to 7-Eleven to purchase some soda and snacks for an upcoming New Year's special on TV. So I got what I needed, and I went to the counter to pay for my items, when a group of Hispanic teenagers came inside and began looking around the store, albeit suspiciously. I thought nothing of it and walked to my car in no rush, when I saw them pointing and laughing at me. I heard words like ho and nerd. I sped up my walking pace and got inside my car. I drove away quickly and thought that was it. It was just some rude people. I went home just fine and began to watch the New Year's special. At about 2 a.m., now 2 hours after New Year's, I decided to call it a night. I woke up at about 4 to noises in my front yard. I think I could hear the sound of people flicking open lighters. Being lazy and tired, I didn't want to get up to check what the commotion was, so I simply thought, did I lock the door? And tried to go back to sleep. The next morning when I woke up, I was curious as to what was happening, so I checked my security footage from the front yard, as I had one of those Nest cams. Again, the previous night I was too lazy and tired to check the app. It was those guys from the gas station. They were smoking or whatever in my yard. But what really scared me was when I realized that I never locked the door. I knew this as I watched the security footage, because I saw these strangers walk in and out of my house, and one of them even came into my room. I don't know what they did in my room, or what they may have done to me,